What's up, guys? We're starting a podcast hosted right here on Antoine Jamal's channel. We are ready to kick on. Let's start a podcast today. Our topic is sci-fi movies. We've got awesome guests who are permanent members of Let's Start a Podcast because we are starting a podcast. We're gonna kick right over to him, and we got Dadmin, Delighted People, and Todd. Here we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's about to unmute.
How we doing, fam?
Oh, we're doing.
Just living large in my basement.
Living large in your basement.
That's yeah.
I don't live in a basement, but I do live in an apartment that is pretty close to a basement.
Here
I,
for
li- I, I live in my mom's basement. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
here
Rent's
for
cheap.
diversity night, we have three middle-aged.
I rack
white-
up her power bill mining my bitcoins.
But you don't spend that money on webcams.
Right.
No.
He does need to buy a webcam. True facts.
Who wants to be seen?
No, I look like the south end of
Yo,
the northbound.
what's going
cow.
on,
I don't want
Vicky?
people to see
Dr.
me.
Donk, how we
He
doing?
also went to the Buster Bluth.
As you can
School
see,
of
we are doing a
BC,
podcast
neither
this
seen
evening.
nor heard.
We are continuing our
Yeah.
sci-fi movie topic.
It's the Milford Academy.
So just
is
enjoy.
what you're looking for.
There's the Academy for MILFs
That
The
is
Milford
correct.
Academy?
because
is-
that's I am
is in Arrested
on
Development.
board.
Like you're
Well, we're
on the
diff-
board? Like how does that work? Like do you vote on who can teach there? Is that I'm confused.
You're on the board. Yeah.
I'm on the
The
board.
Board of
The school
Trustees.
board.
The board of trustees.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we only hire MILFs, and it's a great school.
Yeah. That's a good
It's
one.
it's tough to get around the discriminatory policies, but you find a way.
That
Híjole.
place would be full of policies that would break all types
Can
of
I-
rules. Todd,
Can I extricate
kick
myself
it.
from this now?
kick
Is
it.
that okay?
You know what, Todd? You're gonna lead us off.
Am I? Okay.
Let's
right.
let's kick into the sci-fi genre.
All right.
I think
Have we introduced our soon-to-be podcast?
a little bit, not too much, but we do need
mean,
to kick on to what it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dadmin. This bottom left here is Dadmin. I don't know if you want to be called Dadmin. You want to be called what would
Dadmin.
you want to be called?
Call me Dadman.
Dadmin. Here we go. Dadmin.
I hate that.
What are we doing? Devin, doesn't really matter. What are we doing here? What is this?
Well, we obviously, because we're a group of very diverse individuals, we thought it was important to share our views about science fiction with the world. You know, it's what everyone is asking for. There's four really suburban white dudes to talk about science fiction.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're not suburban.
Oh,
We're
sorry.
small town. We're small
Small
town.
It's
You're
true.
right. That's actually more accurate. Small town.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're this is
So
the
Devin,
podcast.
what are dadmins? Sorry. What are sci-fi?
What are in
ob-
sci-fi?
What
And
are
sci-fi.
and is a sci-fi unit?
I
It
can
is-
has Sifi.
I mean, if I were to define it, I would say that it's sci that also fies. But mostly I would say that it is science-y, fiction-y stuff, So untruths about science.
Untruths?
Untruths. Or not truths yet.
I think you're looking for speculative,
Future truths. Yeah, speculative fiction or science fiction.
because I wouldn't say they're untruths. I think
It's hypothetical fiction.
true.
What you're doing is you're taking your hypothesis about technologies and or future developments and then saying, hey, how does humanity deal with all this bull crap? And the answer is usually poorly, and we enjoy that.
Typically.
Because for some reason we like to think about as a species how everything can go wrong and then envision ourselves in that. It's like, oh man, it'd be so cool if everything was dying and blowing up and stuff. Love it. No?
Should we pull up the Wikipedia definition? Do we need it?
I mean, we can, but I'm pretty sure. Look, we're four white guys talking about science fiction. I'm pretty sure any potential audience understands what we are talking about.
True facts. True facts.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I don't know. Does Banana Man have anything to add?
Banana Man on the bottom right is Delighted People. Jared,
Oh hey, that's me.
whatever we're gonna call you, you are a Banana Man on chat,
It's
so
it's
or on
me.
stream.
It's me. It's your friend Jared. I'm a banana man.
Hey,
There's always money in the banana stand.
We're gonna highlight Banana Man. What do you have to say for yourself?
About what? I'm here for the ride, man.
True.
I like that. I like
True.
that.
Well, basically, we've decided that we're going to talk about, each of us will choose 3 favorite, not in any necessarily particular order, favorite sci-fi films.
Yep.
Films or cinema.
We are sticking to that film criteria.
Oeuvre.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Over the course of our first season, we're going to discuss science fiction in depth. And tonight, to kind of kick us off, we're looking at top films for each member of the podcast, what they mean to us, what they say to
and
us,
all that bull crap. Yeah.
What-
That garbo.
yeah, that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Devin, do you want to tell us about your first film?
It's tough. I have trouble ranking things when they're in like a top 3.
No
or
particular order. No particular order. There's no wrong answers, man. Nothing
Okay.
is fucked here, dude.
Man, this is tough.
I guess I should ask, are we doing NSFW?
Is
You
this
can say whatever you want.
Thank you.
is this the kickoff? Are we diving into our
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do
film
it.
here? Okay.
Kick it off.
Time is of the carpe the diem, brah.
I will take the first slot.
Diem the carp.
I like to fish, whatever. Ooh. Okay,
Hard
so
Force
this
hates
is my-
sci-fi. Nice.
do I have the floor? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Sorry, chat, but I'm not gonna say Ender's Game because this is not about books. This is about movies.
They
all
did.
right?
They did throw an Ender's Game already.
They did make a movie, but it's
Well-
not on my list. Sorry, everyone. Let's see here.
There we go. We're gonna focus on you.
Okay. All right. Now that I'm really close into that camera, I think my third on my list is it's a film that's got some history, all right? And it's a film that you can watch not just for the science fiction, but for the action, all right? And it's Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is just one, it feels like it's an incredible piece of filmmaking for when it came out and like how good it looks today. And the saddest thing is because I haven't prepped very well for this, I haven't rewatched it recently. So it's been a little while. But who doesn't love like the idea of man versus machine, man versus AI, all of the technology just bursting out of, of the future into the now to start killing you, right?
True facts.
And
It's funny you actually bring that up. I before I moved back to Pocatello,
Mhm.
I actually was at a game night with a couple of friends of mine, and one of them said he had never seen a Terminator movie. So we were there for like a weekend. So we were like, okay, well, we're gonna now watch Terminator 1 and 2, and we watched them back to back. It was especially great because the reveal. I didn't remember this from when I had seen it, in the like 90s was the last time I watched it. I'd totally forgotten about the reveal that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the good guy. So like he actually was kind of blown
Spoilers.
away by the. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
for our younger crowd that
Yeah.
totally exists.
Wah wah
Look,
wee wah.
I'm sorry. Any movie that's more than 10 years old, I don't care. Like at
No,
this point,
that's-
internet
No,
spoiled you
no
long
one
before
cares.
I showed up. Yeah, but like there's a scene where the T-1000's about to like murk Edward Furlong, and then Arnold jumps in and saves the day, kind of a thing.
And it
So yeah, I
really-
think that movie actually both of those movies actually hold up really well.
Yep. I will say I do think it's a tough choice to pick like one of them, but like T2, it's got the same themes, but like visually, it's in the whatever the CGI and the things they're using, it was insanely good. It really
Totally.
was.
Totally.
I it's definitely a rewatchable film.
You know, I just pulled it up for our audience to see. I didn't, just off the top of my head, I didn't realize it was directed by James Cameron.
Both of them.
I
Both
just
the
didn't
first two were.
even think about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unsurprisingly, it does star Arnold, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and
obviously.
it also generally changes genres, kind of, because like the first one is mostly a sci-fi and thriller, and it's very localized and small scale, and T2 actually like just kind of flipped it over and turned into something much bigger, which I find interesting because around the same time period, like James Cameron earlier just did that with Alien and Aliens.
Totally.
Right.
And he turned Alien from a sci-fi horror into a sci-fi action film.
Was
Now,
that
some people love Aliens more, but I personally don't. I don't think it's anywhere near as good
I'm
as
with you.
Alien. But like, he was, for his time, James Cameron did all that kind of stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's true.
Was Aliens his first movie as a director? Or was
No, I don't
feature?
think so.
I'm just
Might have
curious.
been.
Going
Aliens was what,
into-
86?
Let's see.
85?
Let's look at his director credits. We got 78, Xenogenesis.
Okay. I don't
81,
know what
Piranha
that
2,
is,
The
but-
Spawning. 84, The Terminator.
Okay.
86, Aliens.
Holy,
Oh,
wait a minute. He actually directed the most recent Terminator movie? That can't be right. No. Okay. I'm misreading things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terminator was his big breakout film for
that makes
sure.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
Well, speaking of James Cameron, I actually
Todd, kick it
one
off.
of mine that's on the list is actually a James Cameron joint. Is The Abyss. I think that
Okay.
that is a movie. Everybody's familiar with it here of the four of us.
I feel like
I
this
have
is
not.
a
I don't think I've
seen it.
watched it.
big sin of
Man,
omission. I have not seen The Abyss.
I will warn you right now. The downside of The Abyss is that the ending isn't the best. A lot of people have a really hard time with the ending. I personally like it. I don't think it's the best ending, but it was kind of the only ending that could really resolve the way that it did. But the premise of the movie is that there's a submarine that's doing deep sea oil drilling, and the crew ends up encountering something underwater, and the Navy ends up sending down a SEAL team to investigate.
Okay.
And it's got Ed Harris in it. I don't know how you guys feel about Ed Harris.
I like Ed Harris
love Ed
just fine.
Harris. Yeah, he's where it's at. And through a series of events, you end up finding out that it's aliens, like that are underwater. And the reason why I actually think it's such a great sci-fi movie is because it kind of addresses or discusses how humanity as a whole would actually interact with beings from another planet that may or may not make themselves completely public the moment they arrive.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But at the same time are not malicious. You know, like you have those like secret invasion type alien things.
Yeah.
These aliens actually don't have any ulterior motive. In fact, part of the conflict is that there is a faction that wants to attack the aliens because they fear the unknown, and there's a faction that are like, we know nothing about them, and they have not assaulted or tried to do anything to cause harm. And so that's really the question that's being presented, and what's the best way to approach that kind of a thing.
And honestly, sorry.
Some of the special effects in that were groundbreaking as well, because a lot of it takes place underwater, and there's like he built a giant tank to film in for most of it.
Well, that seems very James Cameron-esque.
Yeah, it totally is. It totally
He built
is.
a ship and sunk it too.
That's true. It's true. Oh yeah.
That reminds me of there was a movie that came out in 2020 called Underwater with Kristen Stewart. It's like this.
And it
That
was pretty
sounds like
good.
the same
I haven't seen
movie.
that.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fun. It's also got T.J. Miller in it.
But you're saying
Yeah.
it's the same theme as that?
Yeah, it sounds pretty. It's pretty much the same, and it kind of has like a Cthulhu type
Yeah.
thing, like where it's the aliens or whatever you want to call it is like more. They really don't care about people. They just exist. Like
Yeah.
ants
It's
on the
just
side of the road don't know what's going on about a highway. They have no
totally,
concept of it.
Right.
totally,
Interesting.
totally.
I was gonna say though, I think it's interesting because that does reflect a lot of like humanity as a whole's thoughts about space exploration. Like obviously we're very fearful of the unknown, and there's probably some military technology and some research that's being done that's mostly defense oriented. But some of our greatest missions have been sending out information about ourselves
Mhm.
into space, right? We haven't achieved, sending people, explorers, but we've sent items that have our music, our writings, our creations, that kind of thing is kind
Whatever
of
we
that
feel like is our identifier.
the two sides of that coin that you mentioned in or the factions in that movie. I feel like that's
True.
pretty represented in the real world, so it's
It's true. It's true.
touching on them feels.
Jared, what's your first movie that you want to talk about?
I guess the first movie I would like to talk about is one of I would say it's in my top 5 movies of all time.
Okay.
So not just in my top sci-fi movies, but
Okay.
top movies of all time.
Don't
And
have
that
to
would
be mutually exclusive. So yeah.
they would be 2001: A Space Odyssey, which
Uh-huh.
I know is pretty cliche to talk about, I guess. And when
Todd
Doesn't
looks
have to
in-
be.
so the thing about 2001: A Space Odyssey that gets me just in terms of movies, and I'll talk about the sci-fi part in a minute, but
Sure.
like as a movie, it is, in my opinion, one of it's like a perfect movie or cinema experience. So what I'm talking about like that is I mean what is a film or what is a cinema experience to me? Well, it's the combination of the visuals, it's the music, it's the story, it's all the different themes that they bring up. And 2001: A Space Odyssey nails every single one of them in such a unique and great way. Like the visuals in 2001 are are really 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 great. But then it
groundbreaking.
also marries it with just a completely awesome soundtrack that's iconic and
Mhm.
has
True.
like permeated into culture super hard.
Sure.
And then it also
Fair
like
enough.
touches on very very sci-fi themes of the evolution of humanity. Now, you might not like the story it tells because it's a little hard to follow if you're just like casually watching. But when you really start to like analyze it and kind of think about what it might mean and what the next step of human evolution might be from now, and what it would be
Sure.
in the future,
Sure.
it's just kind of thought provoking and kind of leads more to like the possibilities of what could happen in the future.
Mhm.
And so like that's kind of mostly what I'm getting at. It's so masterfully crafted by Stanley Kubrick in this, what I would say, like a perfect cinema experience.
I'm going to say something controversial here. I haven't seen it.
That's not controversial.
But the way he talks about it,
So
it's like a must see. It is the sci-fi of all sci-fis,
I think that it's
or the
not
base of multiple sci-fis, and I haven't even watched it. I almost feel guilty just the way, because Jared is my friend, and I've never watched a film that's on his top 5. Let's say that.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean? So
That's true. Well, I'm going to say something that is actually controversial. I appreciate 2001: A Space Odyssey. I never need to watch it again because it is very boring. I just like there are whole swaths of that movie where it's like 15 minutes have lapsed and absolutely nothing has happened. Like
Oh
the
yeah, it's
first
great.
the first 4 minutes of the movie are just shots of the desert with the sound effect of wind blowing. And that's 4 or 5 minutes. I'm
but
I'm
it's
not
very
exaggerating.
You're
Oh
at
yeah,
least
and it's just absolutely great.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Visuals, I will give you visuals. I will give you special effects. I will give you groundbreaking for sure. Appreciate what it is. That movie, for the story that's being told, could have been 45 minutes long, and it feels like 3.5 hours.
So is it
Well,
is it a
it
dude going into space and just exploring, or like
no, so
it's
it's
like
told
a
over the course of different acts. So and
okay?
it goes through all the evolution of humanity. So it starts with apes just in a desert,
Yep.
fighting
I
over
see. So that's
water
that's
and
why that's
food.
why Todd hates it. He's bored.
Yeah, and
Hey,
it's pretentious.
Feels out of
It's
it
place.
is.
pretentious.
Todd hates nature. That's what it really
I
And
see.
no, I would
That's
say
not true. That's not true.
another movie that's not a sci-fi, but that is also in my top 5 movies, probably is also very similar in what I say is like an ultimate cinema experience, but
Mhm.
it's also really pretentious, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that would be Tree of Life. And it does the same thing where it just kind of meanders and there's nothing happening really, but
Hmm.
there's these beautiful shots and the music is just amazing, and everything about it just like really speaks to me, and that's kind of how 2001 is. And I know a lot of people won't like 2001: A Space Odyssey, um but yeah.
If I know
No,
you at all, you're all
I
about
think everybody
visuals.
will. A
I think
lot of people will like it.
I definitely think it's worth a watch. Just because, like Jared says, isn't it? It is kind of an
Oh,
experience.
and
Um,
you will definitely, after you watch it, you will start to see references to it in every
Oh
media
yeah,
you watch.
in
yeah,
You'll be
everything.
like, "Oh my gosh, that's what this reference is."
yep.
And I had never had any idea that that's what it
It's
was from.
true. It's true.
So one of the things about it that stands out to me is that most of science fiction film that I cut my teeth on, if you will, was mostly like sci-fi adventure, right? I mean, everybody's watched, well, most people have watched Star Wars, a lot of them recent Marvel movies. You know, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got everything with Thanos. Those are all like, the science fiction adventure type
Yeah.
movies. There's dozens of
Right.
those types of films in the genre, and that's most of what I probably saw growing up. Um, I think 2001: A Space Odyssey was the first, when I finally did see it, the first sci-fi film that really honed in on that like unsettling feeling, um, where it's trying to build like that. I don't know, like that emotional distrust of some of what's going on with the technology and other things in the movie. Like
Hmm.
it really builds that tense feeling while you're watching it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
that was something that stood out to me for it. It's
I'm
it
just saying, if you're gonna watch it, make sure you have an energy drink and no interruptions from your children. Like, yeah, and Jared would agree with me on that probably. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's something that you honestly, the ideal viewing experience is a dark room, great surround sound,
yeah.
0
Yes,
interruptions.
exactly. Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it 3 times, and the first time I was like, "I hate this movie more than I've ever hated anything in the world." The third time I was like, "Okay, I get it. I get it. I understand it. I know what's going on." Because it's also not the most accessible movie. You do have to, like, dedicate some time to it, but I like it, but I don't know that I ever need to see it again.
Okay.
But Jared's right, it's arguably the most influential sci-fi movie of all time.
Okay.
It Three
Yeah.
watches is not bad though.
Yeah.
That's probably more than most people have
Sure.
seen it.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
true.
Sure.
It's true. AJ, what's your
So
what's your first
that was my
movie?
good segue. Actually, you said it's a movie that I'll never see again, right?
Yeah.
I will tell you a movie that you should see often because you have to, right? And I want to preface
Sure.
some stuff. Uh, I, so if I think of sci-fi, I think of like space. Just right off the bat, I think sci-fi. I correlate it with space, and
Sure.
I know that's not accurate because that's not what sci-fi is. Sci-fi is a huge range of just everything, right?
It
Yeah.
it seems like a pretty big deal to it though.
So space is important, no doubt. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's important. So I will say Galaxy Quest.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
now I've brought this up before. You guys are gonna laugh, and I know Jared would be like, "Get out of here." He'd like leave the podcast right now. He's just gonna quit. That this is even brought up. But
Bye, Felicia.
I I want to say it's like Galaxy Quest to me is, yeah, heck yeah. Dr. Donk in the chat says that's an important one. It's like it's a comedy, obviously, right? Comedy is important to me, but it also completely explores space and like that whole the speculative sci-fi stuff that we're talking about. So, and that's why I love it. I mean, it has like acting that's phenomenal, like Alan Rickman. I like Tim Allen in it, and even Sigourney Weaver from an Alien. You know, awesome.
Sam
It just,
Rockwell.
yeah, it just,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
There's a whole bunch of people in it, and it works. And I want to also say something like we brought up Star Wars
Tony
in the past.
Shalhoub. I forgot about that. Tony Shalhoub is so great in that movie. Yeah,
It's a
sorry.
fantastic
Sorry.
movie, dude.
You're not wrong.
The cast,
You're not wrong.
like just the cast right there is like
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so okay, I want to say like Star Wars, right? Star Wars is sci-fi, but it's in its own world. Okay,
Yeah.
like and I think Devin mentioned the other day it's like magic. It's like sci-fi magic. Like it's
space magic.
space
Sci
magic,
fantasy.
right?
Yeah.
And the difference to me is that in Star Wars they live in this world where they're all used to it. That's just their life. Like nothing is new to them. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The dark side, like the dark side of the Force, whatever, like joins together, and there's a Death Star. But there's nothing crazy about it. It's just like that's the world they live in. So on this one, it's I don't even would call it like exploration, but they get like shoved into that world of sci-fi where they're just like they were just playing as actors, and then they're suddenly like, Jared, do you know the plot of this movie?
Yeah, of course I do.
Of course you do. Okay, just making
You've
sure.
seen it, right?
Just
Yeah.
Have all four of us seen it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not saying this is my number one. I'm just saying this is like when I think of sci-fi, I think I have to put this in the list because I think it has its own mark,
Sure.
right?
It definitely probably brings people into science fiction that otherwise
there
would be watching.
it's a gateway, right? It's kind of a gateway to at least be introduced to like a space theme that somebody would write off completely.
Well, I also think that there is a validity to it being an actual, like, legitimate sci-fi story that's being told. Because
that too, right?
if you really think about it, it's two at-war civilizations that are one of them is seeking help from a technologically advanced civilization.
Mm-hmm.
But each civilization has their own intricacies that are different aspects. Where the main race, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, the race that hires them to come and aboard the Galaxy Quest ship, but their innocence and the concept of like deceit,
Yeah, they don't even understand it, right?
and that is something that is very much like a high sci-fi. There would be
There'd be a civilization
theoretically
that doesn't
would be a
understand
civilization that's like
human
that.
concepts. Sure.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Languages don't get sarcasm, and that's on the same planet.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to throw it in for a nod. A for the cast, and obviously just all those topics we covered there. It's just like I think it has its place. Like a comedy side of sci-fi has its place. Just
I totally just remember Justin Long's character in that movie. Like,
who's that?
He's
he's
the fan.
he's the huge super fan that
Oh,
they
yeah.
call on
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and his mom makes him take out the garbage. Oh my gosh, I need to rewatch this movie.
It's
Yeah.
it's also it is an homage to earlier science fiction.
It is.
As well. So
It
it's
is.
not just it's not making fun of it. It doesn't feel like it's
No.
actually trying to validate
Like
some of
it.
like as something that deserves that interest.
Very tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And Justin Long character is what makes everything function because of
Yeah.
his dedication.
And I don't think it's necessarily making fun of like the Star Trek world. It's just like it works. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I have
comedy
a list of like 20 movies, but I just felt like That was important.
Yeah.
So fun side note about that movie.
What's up?
I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, but fun side note from my history is that was one of the first movies I saw from a DVD.
Really?
Oh wow. Okay.
1999. That would make sense.
And my family was pretty early on the whole DVD thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
my dad is very much into audio and that kind of a thing. And so, we have this nice stereo setup,
Mm-hmm.
and he was very excited for DVDs and being able to use his surround sound system that he has and nice speakers and stuff. So I distinctly remember the very first one I watched was The Mask of Zorro. I believe
Oh
it's Mask,
wow.
right?
Yeah.
With Antonio Banderas
Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins and
and
Catherine
Anthony
Zeta-Jones.
Hopkins. And
That movie also slaps. Like
oh yeah,
It
that
does.
movie's actually pretty great.
yeah. And Galaxy Quest was probably the second one that I watched on DVD.
Yeah.
So for me, it's got a little place in my heart just because of like it was like such a brand new
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And it was like a sci-fi, so like it's got to look good. And so
Totally.
you got to rock that 480p, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
I have Galaxy Quest on VHS.
Ooh. That's a flex.
Mhm.
That's a flex.
That's an original right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Devin, what's your second movie?
All right. Man, we're getting to the real nitty-gritty now.
The nitty-gritty.
Man, I've had a really tough time choosing here.
Okay.
I had a list of 5, and trimming down from 5 to 3 is just tough. But
It is.
I decided that my number 2 film is Ex Machina,
Okay.
which is a pretty recent film. Is it 5 years old? AJ, you throwing up the stats right now?
It was in 2014.
Okay. So the cast in this is amazing. You've got Donald Gleason, Oscar Isaac. What's the female lead? I can't remember her name. Got that for me?
Alicia Vikander.
Mm-hmm. It's
Her
just
character's name is. Scroll down, AJ.
Girl Robot.
No, it's like Eva or Anna or
Ava.
something bland.
Ava.
Ava, thank you. I knew there was a V in there.
Nathan. And it's amazing that the whole movie works with like there are other characters, but they're not really there that often.
Nope.
And there's not a lot of like reference to other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I think every aspect of this movie hits for me. One, the soundtrack is amazing. I listen to it all the time.
It is good.
I probably put it on weekly. I'm a huge nerd. I have D&D books in the background there. When I'm trying to like put something together for a dungeon where we hurt people, I listen to that soundtrack because
The Ex Machina soundtrack.
oh yeah, stuff is gonna get real. Yeah, no, it's that good. Their performances are great. The visuals are like spectacular.
I really like Donald Gleason in that. I like him in whatever he acts in, actually, but that specifically.
He's shot to the top of my list of like
because of that movie.
I watch movies because of Same with Oscar Isaac. I think though that the first movie I really noticed him in was that like I was like, oh, that guy's a guy I should watch. Was Inside Llewyn Davis, and I really like that movie too. But
I hate that I haven't seen it yet.
The plot is fantastic. It totally caught me off guard multiple times.
Mhm.
It made me stay awake thinking about it afterwards. But I was just like, man, that got too real.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
still feel like it leaves enough open-ended possibilities at the end of it that I like still think about it, man. Like I wonder how this scenario plays out. I wonder how this scenario played out. And visually it is spectacular as well. The use of like lighting to help like enforce themes and to make you feel uncomfortable is
even just the cover. If you look at the cover, it's like it's kind of haunting almost, like to see like an AI.
It takes something that should look normal and makes it look off.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yep.
True.
And it also has, like a weird dancing scene, so that was fun.
I love how that movie, it starts off so innocently, and it's just them talking, and then as the movie progresses, the sense of dread just gets bigger.
Mm-hmm.
When with every reveal, you're just like, oh
And the
shit.
stakes get like a little, like it notches it perfectly. The pacing in that movie is
And
spectacular.
when he realizes that this whole thing has been a manipulation to him, and you're just like, oh shit, and then the movie just gets real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she just like turns on like craziness.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
It's just that's really
times,
great.
multiple times in it, you think that you know what's going on. You're like, oh, I think I see where this is going, and then it takes it to a different level.
And then you don't. And then you super don't.
You're like, okay, I got that. Well, like, I do not know where this is going anymore.
Nope.
And that was a really cool feeling.
Yeah.
But it does really make you long term, and that's why I love it. As you know, a good example of science fiction is it makes you think about the possibilities that exist with
Mm-hmm.
an AI, like a really advanced intelligence that we create. Like
Mhm.
we like to think that we're the masters of our creations, and AI has that possibility where it's like, nah, not really. I mean,
Yeah.
do you guys remember on Twitter a couple of years ago where I can't remember if it was Microsoft or someone else created a bot that was just supposed to learn from people talking to it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
they had to
yeah.
shut it down after like a day
It
because
was
it
like
just
Tay's tweets or something like that.
it
Mm-hmm.
became like a disaster in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like it went from like, "Hi, how are you? It's nice to meet you and exist," to Hitler was right and we're taking down America.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was that quick too. Like because
Yeah.
we don't know what learning path those things will take
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
to our own expectations.
I
And
forgot about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
it was really insane. And it's a great example of like we just don't know what an AI could do. We
Right.
It's
don't.
true.
Right.
You know, speaking of AI,
Oh,
if I
really?
if I may jump, my number two actually deals with the AI as well.
All right.
Last
It's
thing before we jump to your number
oh,
two.
sure.
This was also one of the most uncomfortable scenes in a movie I've watched with my wife. We were just sitting there, and then all of a sudden it's like naked robots, everyone. Lots of them.
Lots of naked robots.
I just remember her being like,
It's-
"What is this?" And me being like, it's science.
Science fiction?
Yeah. Yeah. For science.
I think it'll change.
Listen, girl, we got to watch this. But
Yeah.
science. Yeah.
But it was that's my last thought about the movie.
Nice. My second pick, and again, this isn't like in any particular order. I just because for me the criteria is like, what's a sci-fi movie that to me may have had a story that's small but deals with concepts on a larger
sure.
scale of like humanity. So AI was actually one of the things that came to my mind, and my number two movie is actually Her,
Okay.
with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that. Oh, did I really?
No, you're good.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jared.
You're good.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
I was trying to, because I know in our like pre-planning chat there were a couple movies banded about, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do any of those.
It's
So
interesting. I didn't even think of this one, but it is
yeah,
Okay.
perfect. It's good.
it's 100% a science fiction movie because it to me it actually it slides into two different sci-fi slots that are something that, again, the larger aspect of the story being told is the extent of what AI can do, which I think
how it changes humanity, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of just the larger scale version of Ex Machina. But I also really like the allegory of the dependency upon technology, and like at what point do we become, so dependent on them for not just making our lives easy, but actually finding fulfillment within our lives.
Sure.
Because really, as he's building this relationship with this AI, it does kind of raise the question of like, is this ethical? Because it's technically an AI that he has decided to utilize to make his life easier, but then they start to develop emotions, and
Right.
can an AI have emotions and feelings? And is
Care do.
yeah, and I think that the craziest part to me, and the part that still like sticks with me, is that basically, humanity creates this artificial intelligence that serves a purpose,
Yeah.
but because it's AI, it develops to a point where it's like, okay, now it's got emotions and it's building this relationship. But then it's like, oh, I have like 700 relationships like this now because I get bored and I think faster than any. I move and my life is faster than any human alive.
Does AI have
And
emotions though?
but that's the thing that I think is very interesting is the exploration of the concept that AI is something like where is that line of demarcation between intelligence and humanity?
I
Sure.
think yeah,
And so
point where if it is intelligent enough, then it does or should in
mhm,
some sense develop emotions or at least attachments
it's
um,
true.
of some form. And maybe
Yeah.
that's what makes us human versus machine, but who we don't really
Mhm.
know.
And I also think the fact that she ends up getting to that point where she transcends the need for him is also a very interesting concept. Like it was kind of the only way that story could resolve, but you never could have come up with it
Okay.
knowing about it.
Okay.
So yeah.
When that movie came out, like I was going through a time where I was very lonely. And so
Yeah.
the movie, like, yeah, it's very sci-fi. It talks about AIs and all these things you're talking about. And then it hit me at the same time in like a relationship standpoint because like I very much related to him. I felt
Mm.
like an outcast. I don't really like I like people, but like they're also super annoying. And then when he starts developing this relationship with her, and it's just real sweet because
Yeah.
you're seeing a very intimate thing because all it is just talking and an emotional connection, and they
Yep.
tried
Mhm.
doing a physical thing and it's like not working out at all.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's just it was very sweet to see him to be part of like a really intimate relationship. And then in terms of like the AI, also like you're talking about AIs and getting emotion, well, like in the end, it was like these AIs had more emotion than humans at that point.
Yeah.
They were making better emotional connections and more meaningful ways than what the humans were at that point. And it's not really a
Right.
fault of Joaquin Phoenix's character. It
Yep.
was mostly the people around him too, and
Yep.
like just society as a whole were losing their feeling. And
Yep.
like that was also a time in my life because I was feeling lonely. I was starting to feel like I was shutting off emotions.
Sure. Sure.
And so it hit me on like, yeah, I love sci-fi. And then it hit me because like it really got all the emotional beats for me.
Yeah.
Did that movie
Well, and you are
win awards?
also a little bit more on the introverted side, especially among the three of us. We're all super extroverted a-holes. Right, Devin and AJ?
That's accurate.
Speak for yourself.
I'm grade
But
A.
yeah.
Prime.
Did
Yeah.
her win awards? Was it an Oscar
I don't
nom?
know. I don't think it was up for Best Picture.
I don't recall.
No.
Thought it did win some awards. I know it
I-
was very, very critically appraised.
What year did it come out?
2013.
2013?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought
Um,
it was 2014.
It was 2013 actually.
mhm.
It would have been the 14
It
awards.
says here actually, if I'll pull up the stats.
Well, it's
It
wide
says it was
release
released in
January
USA
10th.
in January, of 2014, but it says that it is a 13 film according to IMDb.
Well,
It's
it's
odd.
probably because it was probably at Sundance. or
Sundance in
something.
13 probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It won Best Original Screenplay.
Okay. Oh yeah, right here. Won one Oscar. 82 wins and 186 nominations. Interesting.
It was nominated for multiple. So
I mean, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was interesting for all the reasons you're saying. Same thing. Just a whole different take on society or what AI would do with it, right?
2013 is also the year that Frozen was unleashed on the world.
Oof.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Frozen as a sci-fi film.
So talking about AI, I guess leads into my movie.
Oh, Jared. Okay.
Wah wah wee wah.
Wah wah wee wah.
Well, it's got to be Blade Runner. Blade Runner 2049.
2049. I was gonna say.
I do love the original. I think the new one is better.
Okay.
It's more
Glad they made
consistent. I again, I love the original, and I love
There
how
aren't
it's
17 versions of it.
yeah, and
There,
it
there are
was so different than what normal sci-fi is. It's very sensual, which is just really weird, and very low on the action, even though it kind of looks like it should be heavy on
You're saying
action.
this one or the old versions?
The one, but this
Okay.
one is just much more consistent, the new one. And everything about it, like I guess maybe I'm just pretentious because that's what I was just talking about in my last movie. But how visually stunning this movie is.
I
No,
100%,
yeah.
100%.
Like it just absolutely blew me away by how good it looked.
It's one
I
of my
still haven't seen it.
favorite movie theater experiences that I've had was watching that.
Um,
It was
In
good.
yeah,
fact, I
I
had it
don't.
with you and Jared.
Yep,
Yeah,
we went together.
I just remember leaving the theater going like, "What a fucking good movie!" Damn. Like maybe I mean I love the cyberpunk genre.
And this is right in that slot, 100%.
And it's just even just down to the colors, the color scheme, the palettes in the movie and all the different places, the sense of dread that it builds throughout the movie, and while it leads you to believe one thing and then flips it towards the end, and it's the whole thing just really is it's so cohesive and just absolutely stunningly visually stunning.
And
I need to see
I'm
it.
gonna
I
throw
hate
out
that I
that
haven't.
I actually really liked Ryan Gosling in it.
I was
Oh,
gonna
Ryan
say,
Gosling's
And
great.
and I don't think
He's a great
he
actor.
I don't think he
lead.
normally plays in stuff like this that often, seemingly. And
I saw
like in
Drive.
He's
like
moved
yeah,
into like
he's moved
this.
into it more. It's just like it was awesome. I
I really like Ryan
visually I thought it was
I
fantastic.
do too. I like Ryan Gosling a lot. I think,
I don't know if I've seen him in a bad role.
yeah,
He's
I
just
would agree with that.
And
Like, I like him
he
in
fits in these
Crazy
actions.
Stupid Love.
He fits in romantic comedies. He fits well in like something more actiony like this or in Drive.
really funny and nice.
He's actually really funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
In
he's
what?
nice
He's,
guys and Crazy Stupid
Oh,
Love.
yeah.
Both of
yeah.
those. Um,
Yeah.
I'll also say the biggest problem I have with this movie is that I don't want to watch it again
Because you don't want to ruin the theater experience.
because the theater experience was so good. Like I can't just put it on my phone and watch it because I feel bad. Like I feel guilty. Like I keep meaning to like rewatch it more, but I'm always like, no, I need to get a
Is
better
guilty
sound.
the right word?
Like it's bad, yes, that I can't like live up to that. So the worst thing about it is that it set the standard so high that I won't watch it on my phone or just like
Yeah.
watch it just to watch. I really want to like experience it again.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of how I feel about a movie that I love and I didn't want to talk about on this, but would probably qualify as our honorable mention would be Annihilation. Like I saw that movie twice in the theater.
Maybe
And
it's
the
on
second
someone
time I
else's
saw
list.
it, yeah, sorry, but I saw it twice in the theater, and the second time was only because after seeing it, I told my wife, I was like, "You have to see this movie. It's amazing, and you have to." And I haven't been. Every time I think about watching it again, I'm like, "But what if it fades a little bit?" So, yeah. So I feel that. I feel that, Devin.
Yeah. Yep,
AJ, what was your number two?
Number 2.
So, okay, I'm gonna preface a little bit again here.
Wild card.
I'm a wild card because
He is.
here's the thing: I have all the same movies that you guys are all talking about, except 2001: A Space Odyssey, because I haven't seen it. To be
Sure.
fair, I have all the same movies in a list, right?
To be fair.
To be fair, so
Now,
I got there's like 20 movies that I was like, hey, this is definitely like top sci-fi for me, top sci-fi, blah blah blah.
totally.
But then I had to pick out why do I like sci-fi? Like why do I like the genre so much? Like space, I kind of mentioned space to me is a key. Is usually
Sexy.
what
Your reasoning was sexy aliens. That's what it came down to.
I didn't say that, but it's like
Not yet.
space is awesome to me. So I'm a sucker. I'm a huge sucker in the sci-fi genre for time travel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just like if a movie has time travel in it, I'm usually, even if it sucks, I love it.
I'm right there with
Okay,
you.
I love time travel. So my next pick.
Yeah,
There's a lot of time travel movies.
I know. There's a
But
lot of good time travel movies too.
There is. I had to go with this one for some nostalgia reasons.
Sure.
Ooh.
And I had to go with it for I think it holds the test of time. All right. No pun intended. Back to the Future.
Yes.
Okay.
The whole
So-
trilogy, right?
Hell
As
yeah.
one whole.
I mean, you could say the whole trilogy. I'm just saying
No, the
I'm just
third
going to
one's
talk about
terrible.
I'm just going to talk
No,
about the
it's
first
not.
movie. All right.
Third
So
one's amazing.
Back to the
I will
Future.
fight you, Jared.
Right.
Sorry, AJ. I'll stop.
No, you're
I'll
good.
stop.
You're good, dude. You're good. I throw it Back to the Future because it was probably the first movie that I really remember watching that was like time travel related that I can like really remember, right? From my youth. And so and I think it does it really well because it's super easy to fall into like time travel tropes and time travel plot holes and stuff. And I just think that they capture a lot of the essence of good points of time travel and they don't fall into traps too often.
Bogged down.
They don't get bogged down by it. But then they also like
Marty.
yeah, like what's his name? Christopher Lloyd. It's just such a perfect character for that. But they still kind of throw in some technology elements to how the time travel works, right? And so I love it. And then just the story works, and it's fun anyway. It's kind of lighthearted and whatever, and it's just like fun. And then movie 2 is also great. I think it works too. The fact that you go to the past or the future, yada yada yada. It's just nostalgia wise. I think
I won't lie.
it works, and
It's definitely in my top. It's top tier for sure, man.
sure.
The first one, it's got weird things to it, but it's a nearly perfect movie.
It's incredibly entertaining too for like a variety of ages. You don't have to be like someone who loves sci-fi.
Right.
enjoy
And I've seen it. I mean, 100 times or something because this is a
Easily.
movie that would play on like cable
Yep.
all the time. And so I've seen iterations of it. I don't know, like I said, 50, 60 times at least, just like
easily.
scrolling through channels and Back to the Future. So I watched the back half of it or whatever, and because I like it.
In
And
high school, I spent time sleeping on AJ's living room floor.
That's true.
With Back to the Future playing as reruns on TV.
On TBS, in fact.
Oh well, which one's on? Oh, okay, it's the first one. Cool.
When I was in middle school, anytime I was sick, my parents had 3 bootleg trilogies. The original Star Wars trilogy
Yeah.
on one VHS tape. The original
Whoa.
Back to the Future trilogy on one VHS tape. And then the Indiana Jones trilogy on one VHS tape. So depending on how I was feeling when
so
I
you had
got,
the TV
the
cuts.
chicken pox. No,
Oh, really? They weren't
Like,
the TV cuts. Okay.
No, My mom would rent a VCR from Suncoast Video, which is no longer, and would play it on the one VCR and record it on the other onto a 9-hour VHS.
That's
So they
good.
all would fit on one. It didn't record the closing credits
I got
on
you.
any of them. So that's also 5-8 minutes that it shaves. But yeah, like those were the 3 times. Like anytime I was sick for school or whatever, I would put in one of those tapes and watch it. So I'm right there with you. I've seen the whole trilogy 100 times.
Jared,
Yeah,
you're being
great
kind of quiet.
pick.
No, I just love that movie. It's great.
Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know where you laid on it, so
Oh, I know. I am also a sucker for time travel movies, and like I always it always is really interesting because in my mind maybe it's because I grew up loving Back to the Future, and I would draw pictures of the flux capacitor.
Hell
My
yeah.
mom to this day makes fun of me because as like a 5-year-old kid, I was just obsessed with the flux capacitor.
I didn't
right?
even know. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's rad, man.
And so
That's a legit geek flex.
Yeah, that's a
maybe
flex right
it's
there.
because
No doubt.
maybe because I grew up with that. It's like the best way a movie handles time travel that I've seen. Like it just
Right.
makes sense the way that they do it.
Right.
They don't get into the nitty-gritty of paradoxes and all this other complicated
Mhm.
stuff. It's just very straightforward. And I find it interesting, like Avengers Endgame, they're just like, yeah, Back to the Future. That's what we're gonna go with,
Mhm.
or like if we're talking about like, I
What
love how like in Looper, they're like sitting down and he's like asking questions about how time travel works, and he's like, look, we could do this all day long. We could pull out straws and
Have
we
you
could
seen
make
Back to the
diagrams.
Future?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like we can make diagrams, but you know what? It just doesn't matter. And I
Yep.
like that about Back to the Future. It doesn't try to go overly complicated to
Yeah.
It
explain it,
doesn't.
and it's just understandable, like natively. And that's how my mind thinks about time travel to
Right.
this day.
So, actually, a previous job I had with Devin, our boss was also obsessed with time travel. We
He
had
wanted
this
it out
we had
always.
this whiteboard in the back, a large whiteboard that was like for notes and jobs and different stuff. We would often wipe it clean
Like
and
once a month.
draw
Time.
like a plot of time travel and how it works. Like we'd list like all the different time travel movies that kind of take some different takes on it, and we just like, so what if this happens, and then this, how this weaves over here, and like this thing would just have lines everywhere and plot and different divergent timelines and all this crap. It was a lot of fun. So, but we'd always go back to the Future, and you're right, Jared, I think you hit right on the mark. It's simple, it makes sense, because it also plays with his family line. It's easy to understand. Oh, this action makes me disappear. Like
Mm-hmm.
I cease to exist because I changed the timeline.
Yep.
And it's simple enough. And yeah. So anyway, Back
Yeah.
to the Future. It's
Yeah.
it's
Great
definitely
pick.
I'd have to throw it out in my top
It's
picks.
and it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So it's so culturally important that like Nike actually made shoes to match up, that many years later, because
Mhm.
that's how much of a touchstone in our culture it's become.
Mhm.
I still
Amazing.
remember when Twitter and internet went crazy when November 22nd, 2015 rolled around, because that was the time Marty McFly rolled
Yeah.
out too.
Everyone's like, "Oh,
Like,
it's
just
happening."
it was like, guys, we're here.
And
So
Where's
we're
my
about flying
hoverboard?
cars.
I
Yeah,
also, from an actor point of view, I actually really enjoy Michael J. Fox. I think
same.
he did really well in this structure of a movie. So
Yeah, and it's a shame that like he got sick and then just wasn't in things for 20 years.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yep,
He wasn't Scrubs.
yeah.
Also,
Everyone's
I
been
hate-
in Scrubs.
Also, I kind of hate Eric Stoltz, so I'm glad they got rid of him. So yeah, yeah. Devin, I think that means it's time for your
Oh,
top.
This is a tough spot to
But
be
again, I don't think it needs to be top, because like now that I think about it, I don't know if Her would be my top 3. I don't know.
It's more like
I don't know.
I'm trying to talk about stuff that like I
Well,
have
if
a lot
this is
to talk
if
about
this is a podcast about nothing but sci-fi movies, we got a lot of episodes to talk about more movies.
Exactly. Exactly.
with you almost.
Exactly.
And never run out of seasons. Also,
Yeah.
I think that we're in a science fiction like renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a weird thing to say, but
No,
like
no, it's true.
there's been some amazing, like really good, visually stunning, sound wise stunning, just well directed, well acted science fiction movies.
Mhm.
They're not just like cheesy, we're just trying to roll something out for the nerds. It's
Mhm.
like, no, this is like science fiction that anybody can enjoy, that's really thought provoking, and that are also just like fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that. Um, it's hard to pick a number one though. And I don't
We
like
understand the disclaimer, so just throw out a
We do. We do. Just do it, dude.
and it is Alien. It's
Okay.
Alien
Okay.
The
because
OG,
it's
the Ridley Scott.
like it's hard to say which came first, but Alien has touched so many like genres of things. It's
Mhm.
affected, video games, it's books, it's so many different types of media, and I'm such a sucker for Alien that even though some of its sequels or like, branch off films are not great, I still love them because I just want more of that like universe. Like I know that people don't super love Prometheus, but I still am like,
Oh,
rewatch it because it's connected to Alien.
oh, so gross.
Yeah. Um,
Oh man.
like Alien is just like it's the science fiction, it's the horror. I don't like scary movies at all because I'm a chicken. I'm a complete
Mhm.
I'm the guy who checks his windows and doors like multiple times a night.
Yeah,
If I
you
hear
do.
who's always like, gotta check in the back seat of my small sedan to make sure it's clear, right? But like
Yeah.
science fiction horror doesn't like scare me the same way. I still enjoy like the jumps and stuff, but like I love it. I live and breathe
Nice.
for it. And
Now,
it just
I
stands.
should tell you today
Mhm.
I ordered the Alien tabletop RPG.
Ooh.
So
All right.
yeah, that's something that is in my near future, and I'm very excited for.
I've been to roll
So
the dice or two, so
yeah, yeah,
I'm interested.
you
But
can
like
throw them bones like the
the
rest of us.
yeah, the thing about Alien is that it just one, it's the set design, the costume design, the acting, the story's great. It also like it does something that kind of stands out in science fiction. It makes Ripley like the badass lead, you know,
Mm-hmm.
woman character who's like, I'm gonna go out there and kick ass, but I'm
Yep.
also terrified. you
True.
know,
Sure, sure,
I don't know,
sure.
encompasses a lot of like human range, and it also expanded, I think, science fiction at that point to more people because it hasn't
Mm-hmm.
historically been a very inclusive, uh,
Accessible
yeah,
genre.
accessible thing. And really, it did that. Like I think that a lot of girls wanted to grow up and be as cool as Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And that wasn't me, but I don't think, oh, it's a movie about a woman. It's a movie about humanity, and she just embodies so many things. It's a great show. The Alien is also like one of the creepiest things I can imagine.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what's also great about the Alien is that it builds all this tension and you never see it until towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And like you
There's
are
like
dead scared of this thing that just visually does not exist for you yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are just terrified of this thing, and
Yeah, yeah.
I
yep.
have nothing but great
It's
things
not
to say about Alien.
Totally.
like CGI either. It's not a diss on CGI. You can do great things with it. But like
Yeah.
so much of it is practical in that movie. Like there's so many practical effects and practical designs that they were like, well, let's take some tubing and some pieces of rubber and we'll paint it and we'll do all this. And it
Yeah.
still like feels so alien,
And lived in.
real.
Yeah.
And then there's like it's not even just one monster, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The alien is the monster, but in the film, there's other monsters that are part of the theme that you don't even suspect, but that ends up being just as important to the plot. Um,
Totally true.
so I mean,
Ash is
mhm,
just as much an alien monster in that as
and
the
it's
Yeah.
alien itself.
you know,
Yeah.
um, and stepping into like how it's affected games and things. I don't know if any of you guys have played Alien Isolation.
Oh man.
It's pretty intense.
They really try that movies,
Man.
and the AI in it is absolutely like shocking, and it's just
Yeah.
one movie that long ago has managed to turn so many properties into something so interesting and with so much longevity. So I
Yeah.
really, and I can rewatch it every year or more than every year. I don't
Yeah.
feel like it gets old, and maybe I'm wrong there, but
Yeah.
it's a great to me. It's a great movie to rewatch.
I think
It
I've only
is.
watched it like 1.5 times.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's
Hmm.
ripe for a rewatch then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned that like I do think it is kind of interesting because it's one of the first like major mainstream movies in which it has a very strong female lead.
Yeah,
That
sure.
also it's funny because you guys are aware of the Bechdel test, right?
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Like
I
Yeah,
have.
so it comes from a comic strip, and the joke is that one of the characters in the comic strip, she only watches a movie if it has two female characters that talk to each other, and it's not about a man. And in the comic strip that it comes from, she references that Alien was the last movie she saw because it passes the Bechdel test. And so, like, yeah. And I also remember when I was in elementary school, the roller rink in the Tri-Cities where I grew up had the Aliens arcade game, and I
Oh.
sunk many a quarter into that.
Huh.
So yeah, Alien
Nice.
has always held a little place in my heart.
Fun fact:
So yeah,
Todd saw Alien in theaters. That's how old he is.
I didn't actually. My parents allowed me to. I am the old man of the group for sure, but I'm only like 5 years older than you guys.
Yeah,
But
something
yeah,
like that.
we figured this out. Devin and I did. You're 33.
I'll be 33.
33. Okay. I
Leah.
just turned 38. Jared, how old are you? You're around the same age as those two, right?
Fun little fact for you. Me and Devin here have the same exact birthday.
Oh,
Exactly.
really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Same age.
It's one of
There
those
you
weird
go.
things, you know?
Nice. And I'm both of your father. No, I'm just kidding.
You were busy that one day.
Todd, you up?
When I was 5.
Todd or
So,
Jared? Who's up? Todd?
I'm actually kind of amazed that it hasn't come up before now, but I think the reason why this is the one that I've selected is because
Don't pick my movie.
it probably is. It's probably, and if it's not yours, it probably also could be Jared's, but it's Arrival. Because
Okay.
So good.
that movie,
Very good.
first of all, I love Denis Villeneuve. This is the second time he's showing up in this podcast episode. If you'll recall, he did Blade Runner 2049.
Yep.
Correct.
I think he is a fantastic director. The only reason why I haven't said Dune is because it's not out yet. But
I do look
I
forward
know
to
it's
it, though.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait to see it. But I think that Arrival is not only a great movie because it hits all of the cinematic notes. Cinematography is great, special effects are great. It again,
Soundtrack's great. Like,
oh,
soundtrack stands way out to me on that film. If I'm being,
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
Oh yeah.
That,
And
like,
that guy actually passed away recently, which is really sad.
yeah.
It's a bummer. But that opening shot where the camera is just slightly angled up at that dark wood slat ceiling on her like beach house or whatever, and that just like really solemn violin solo intro into that. Oh, it's so like it still gets me every time. But I think that even that aside, again, for me the criteria was like what great overarching philosophical quandary is this story being utilized to ask, and it brings about the concept of is it really better to have loved and to have lost than to have never loved at all? Like, or is it if you know the ending is going to be as bitter as it is it worth still endeavoring on that journey to still have the positive aspects of it? Because, and again, it's only 4 years old, so I do fear spoilers a little bit, but I'm pretty sure all of us have seen it and we
No,
all love it. But the
I
the
own it.
narrative and the storyline that's told is also done in such the first time I saw it, it blew my mind. Like I still remember walking out and being like, I do not know how movies like this exist. I'm lucky to have seen this movie because it's so good. And there have even been I've even seen a couple of YouTube videos of like the epidemic of mediocre movies and how this is a movie that's a prime example of it. Honestly should just every movie should hold itself to this bar
It did
for
win an
sci-fi.
Oscar for Best Achievement in Sound Editing, which I have it's not a surprise.
No.
It was nominated for its soundtrack too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Directing, Picture of the Year, Screenplay,
Yeah.
Cinematography, Sound Mixing. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say enough positive about it, and there's not a single thing I would say is negative in it. There's one or two minor little gripes, but they're editing choices that Denis Villeneuve did that I may have put in a different order. I think they should have established the dudes that end up trying to plant the bomb. They should have done that a little earlier to
Sure.
prepare you for it
Sure.
instead of it being like mid second act. But yeah, oh, it's so great. So great.
Yeah, I would say Denis Villeneuve is probably like the director I'm most excited for to see things in the future come out.
Yeah.
Like I
Yes.
am hyped for Dune. I'm hyped for whatever piece of news that I see. Because if you've watched any of his other movies, like Sicario is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Have you seen Enemy?
Enemy
Oh
is
my
is
gosh.
strange, but it's
It's
good.
so good. It's
And
so
so he
good.
has yet to do
It's
anything
so
that's made
good.
me like no. So I'm really excited for something like Dune.
I know
Especially because the
Yeah.
only rendition of Dune that we have is that old
David Lynch.
David Lynch before David Lynch had the reins to do anything on his own, and so like they
Yeah.
wouldn't let him do anything, and it's this
Yeah.
terrible movie rendition. So it's like I'm hyped for it because like it's a great book, and I'm
Yeah.
really ready to see somebody do justice. You know?
Totally. Prisoners. I also forgot he did Prisoners. That movie.
That is a very
Oh
good
my gosh, that movie is so stinking good. I feel like I could spend days talking about how great Denis Villeneuve is.
I feel like and this is probably touching on some of the other movies we talked about, but there's a couple people who are directing and writing in science fiction
Right.
and other
Right
movies
now that are
that really
fantastic. Oh yeah.
really kill. And the other one, Alex Garland, we talked about.
Yep. Yep.
Did we already talk about Annihilation?
Briefly, we didn't bring it up
Briefly.
as a yeah.
I talked about Ex Machina. He hasn't directed a ton of stuff, but writing includes a ton of my favorite movies.
Wow.
There 28 Days Later, which I love. Sunshine,
Red.
really love. Red from a few years ago, really
Right.
great.
Right.
I enjoy watching that. I bought it because I was like, it's never on streaming services, so it was like $3. Totally
Oh
worth.
man. Yeah. Every
Um,
penny.
there's a lot of great stuff there, so I'm gonna keep following everything he does.
Holy cow. He also wrote The Beach,
Yeah.
which was a really weird movie, but it was great.
So a lot of great, crazy, good, interesting works in there.
Yeah.
Mhm. So back to Arrival real quick. That's a movie that I watched with my wife, just like at our house, and I think we rented it, and we liked it so much that we immediately turned around and bought it, and then watched it like 3 more times.
Yeah.
Because it was just
Nice.
like awesome, and like the soundtrack, it
Again.
just pulled us in, man. And still to this day, like I see it in my, and I don't own a lot of movies in like digitally, but that's one of them. And I just see it in my list once in a while. I'm like, man, that's good. Like I can't even remember some plot points sometimes because my memory is horrible. But I just think about the movie and I'm like, I can feel it, and I feel the soundtrack, and I'm just like, man, it was freaking awesome. So
Stuff.
That to me is a mark of a great movie.
Right.
If you remember the feel more than you remember the story,
Mhm.
then it did it right.
Agreed.
For sure.
And I agree with you. I'm right there with you. Oh yeah. Hopefully I didn't steal yours, Jared. What's your third movie you want to talk
Well,
about?
I mean, my third movie you did already steal it with her, but that's fine. I got
Was it
another one.
really?
Was her your top? Okay.
Well,
Her-
I mean, I'm
it's
not,
a
I
fantastic
don't really have
movie.
these in order.
They're not in
or
order,
anything.
but her was one of your tops. Okay.
Yeah, that
So
was
what's
gonna be the last one
what's
to
your
talk about.
backup?
So my backup for now is Children
Star
of
Trek
Men.
2: The Wrath of Khan.
Children of Men.
Children of Men.
Children of Men.
Okay.
So
That is so great.
directed by Alfonso
Alfonso
Cuarón,
Cuarón.
who is one of the directors of the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
You would never know because
It's a good one.
his other movies are not anything like it.
Mm-mm.
Children of Men is just like a nightmare scape
man.
of how fast humanity could lose hope
Mhm.
if something happens. So I'm a sucker for sci-fi that's set in the slightly futuristic time. So that's why
Dystopian.
that's why I really like her, because it's like that's only kind of in the future. It's only like
Right.
a few years away
Right.
from like where we are. Their technology is really not that much different. Well,
Mhm.
like Children of Men is set in like a future that's not that far off, and it's just
Mhm.
at some point no babies have been born for 18 years. Like the youngest kid was 18 and then he died. And then so like what kind of like the world felt when the youngest person in the world died.
Last
And then
hope.
like it's just all hope in humanity is just totally gone. So it's like
Okay.
this chilling nightmare scape
Yeah.
I
where
haven't seen it actually.
human
Oh, you haven't?
I have
infertility,
not. I don't
that's
know this
Oh,
just
movie at
man.
all.
I
Devin,
watched
have
it.
you seen it?
Yeah, I watched it less than a year ago.
Yeah.
it's where
Really
this
good.
human infertility has just rendered society completely unstable. And then it also is just beautifully shot, because like there are a handful of scenes that are 6-minute one shot takes,
Oneers.
and
Yeah.
and they just keep going, and they do crazy things, and like it really builds tension because so many things are happening in these one shot takes while it moves through. Like they're trying to escape through like this area, and
Yeah.
like things are happening, places are blowing up, and it just follows them through it, and so many things are happening. It's like 6 minutes long, and
Mhm.
you're just like blown away, and then he just keeps doing it throughout the movie, and it just builds tension, and it's really 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 good.
If
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for time travel and space, I'm a huge sucker for one shot scenes. Like
You, you will like this then.
Oh, yeah.
I
You'll love it, dude.
I just like I love that. I love the filmography, like cinematography and effects of having one shot.
Yeah.
It's sexy.
Oh,
As a wise rapper
I-
once told us, you got to make it look sexy, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So smart man.
I seriously, like, that is one movie where, yeah, it just like sticks to your ribs and you remember seeing it the first time, kind of a deal.
Hmm.
Man, it's so good. You're gonna love it, dude. When you say, I literally just bought it now, like, because I was like, I haven't seen this movie in like 5 years, and
It is
Children of Men, it's
right now.
so great. It's so great because it also fits in that like post-apocalyptic niche of like you don't know, like it reminds me of The Road in a way of like you
Oh
don't know
yeah.
who to feel more sorry for, the person who remembers what it was like before or the person who grew up only knowing that. You know what I mean? Like the hope that's also introduced in Children of Men, and I don't want to spoil it, but the inciting incident, AJ, is basically there's a woman who is pregnant, and
I mean, that makes sense for the plot.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. And so the main character is basically trying to escort her to a place to where people will be able to figure out why she is able to
yeah,
get pregnant, but
how
nobody
is
else.
she pregnant? But why? Right.
Yeah,
And
but
keep the
because humanity hasn't produced a new child in almost 20 years, the nihilistic aspect of humanity is just so deeply exposed. And it also touches on like you know, illegal aliens and demilitarized zones and sanctuary and things like that. There's a lot of people in cages.
It makes
It's
sense. Like, if
so
you would degrade to that level of lifestyle, like
where does
it's gonna get crazy.
where does
yeah,
humanity go without any hope? Basically,
yeah.
yeah.
It also has Michael Caine.
Okay,
So there
My
you go,
Ukraine.
Michael Caine. Yeah,
is
Which
he in
is
it for real?
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
just the
Yeah, he
British.
is.
It's a bit part,
He's
but
not. Yeah,
he's
he's not
great.
even in the main list.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Julian Moore, Shea-Wetel Ejiofor,
Oh
who's a
yeah.
guy that there's no such thing as too much Shea-Wetel Ejiofor. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's on my list then to watch for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
for sure.
Also, it for me it fits two genres, man. Because I also kind of consider post-apocalyptic stuff kind of its
Hey
own
man,
thing. You know,
Fury Road was this close to being one of my three.
it's ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it was close. It wasn't science enough for me to do it though.
I had it on
So,
a list, but it wasn't in my top. And it don't have to be science to be sci-fi.
For
what
me,
what a friggin' cool movie that movie is,
Yeah.
right?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
Christy and I every now and again will still just look at each other and just go mediocre.
yeah,
So yeah, that movie
I quote "Witness Me" like
witnessed
all,
me
all the time.
all the time,
time.
all the time, dude. Oh man, and that shot when Lux just like witness it gets me every time. Gets me right in the feels.
Well, hey,
It's
that can be a discussion for another episode of the Science
Yeah.
Fiction Podcast.
Yeah. Oof, oof. AJ, take us out with your final film, my bro.
Okay. You know how I do? You gotta give some disclaimers.
Oh,
It's gonna be great when he's
No,
like
no.
Star
it's
Trek
gonna be
4,
like
the
it's
voyage
Sonic, Sonic the Hedgehog. We gotta go
No,
fast.
no.
He's so
no.
fast, and I
It's a-
love him.
It's the Pokemons. I
So-
love the Pokemons.
I'm just
So, like I said, I'm a sucker for time travel. I'm a sucker for space. I'm a sucker for the one scene shots, the extended shots, right? There's one more thing that I'm a sucker for, and it's I don't know if you call it a genre or like a subgenre of science fiction or a category of science fiction. I don't know how you want to say that. But it's definitely like when you have, it's not Inception, but it's the Inception idea of just like this super twisted reality
Okay.
where it really like screws with your brain kind of. And Inception maybe is not the best idea of it, but like just something that not even alternate reality, but it's your reality now, but then it's like it just trips you in your brain, right?
Sure.
So
Hype.
and maybe this is cliche, The Matrix.
Okay.
I don't think it's cliche, man.
So I freaking love The Matrix because for a lot of reasons, but just like I remember the first time I watched it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that we live in that world, like just like outside of the Matrix, let's say already, that there's a world already run by AI. And they're not ever described, or like we don't even meet them, we don't know anything about them, right? And that's kind of awesome. But that we're plugged into this, just we're a battery and we're plugged into this network and living our lives uneventfully and like unaware. And that makes you just like,
Yeah.
like, are we living in the Matrix now? Who knows?
It really is great that way.
And
That you question your own reality, like you
Yeah.
said. You're just, man.
and I think
It
yeah,
really
you slowly look at your hands and you say, "I know kung fu."
Yeah.
Jared doesn't like it, obviously.
it's also
But-
a
No,
culture
I love
I'm
the
just
Matrix.
joking. I'm joking.
touchstones. But man, so many things make jokes about or steal things from the Matrix. Shrek steals
Yeah.
time stuff from the
And I
Matrix.
hate Shrek, but even I have to recognize
You're
that.
wrong,
Well,
that's-
so yeah, Matrix was it became very mainstream, or very like from the Back to the Future perspective, everyone
Mhm.
you could reference the Matrix and everyone knows what it is. And that's not why it's my top. I think it has its own, it kind of supports itself to be that mainstream, right? That's why it's
Totally.
mainstream. But there's some key factors in it to me. It came out, first of all, I didn't throw it up. I didn't throw up our stats. Hold up.
99.
It's kind of important. Yes, it came out in 99. And if we think about what 99 was, it's like the dawn of the internet, the dawn of PCs, of like really grasping a PC in every home, everyone using the internet,
Just right before Y2K, baby.
right before Y2K. And so that the idea of the Matrix was like perfect for that time period. And I think the movie holds up in its own right beyond
Mhm.
1999, but just for like the climate, the Y2K climate of 1999, I think it's like huge in that computers could take over the world, some epic battle of AI, right? And so
It's true.
it's just, it trips me out to think just that whole concept of how the movie operates. I loved it. So when I first watched it, it's one of those, you like you said with Arrival, the feels. You remember the feels.
Mhm.
I just remember like being kind of blown away at the concept of the movie. Sure, there's some like bad acting in some places. It is what it is.
Sure.
But like the concept and the overall plot, Agent Smith, you know.
Yeah.
It's great.
The-
I see, you know, I don't even feel like there's the maybe the acting isn't trying to be as like you know, like the Annihilation or Arrival style, but it fits the movie and its themes really well.
It
Because
does.
it doesn't always it's not always too serious. You know, there's definitely some like we're just going balls to the wall with our action and our visual effects here.
Right.
But that doesn't take away from what the whole, you know, the science ideas that are in the movie, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
I actually don't think that anybody. I think the acting in it is pretty great.
Not
actually.
bad acting.
Keanu's
I
a
just
little
think
weak.
there's maybe some like cheesy lines once in a while.
Easy lines.
I think though that the
But
Matrix
maybe
also.
maybe it works because it's just like that's what it
Yeah.
is. That's the world it is.
I also think it kind of like another thing that it kind of has to give a little bit of credit to kind of harken back to Jared's 2001 suggestion is it for the time it was super cutting edge on what it was trying to do.
Mhm.
Like that is what introduced the world to bullet time. Like the moving slow-mo shot didn't exist until that happened.
Right.
And so just like that very aspect itself to me also speaks volumes in how much it is part of the like public mind, if you will.
The shot that stands out to me in my mind though is the helicopter.
Hmm.
When he
Skyscraper.
dives out the window
No, when
with
it
the glass.
ripples,
Helicopter hits
when
the
it
glass.
ripples.
Oh, and it ripples. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
one of the coolest visuals. It just sticks in my head. Yeah, I really like
So even
culture.
outside of how they go in and out of the Matrix and you know even that reality and what it does to your own mind, I loved how he learned to manipulate it.
Hmm.
It was just it was just sweet to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how old I probably was when I first watched it, you know, 10, 11, whatever. Just like awesome.
Yeah.
So it's always left a mark for me.
I'm trying to remember the name of the character that betrays everyone, but like they actually make him,
Cypher.
yeah,
Cypher.
Cypher.
Yep.
He's sympathetic, where he's like, I don't want the reality. If it's this is so much better. Like it really is showing that like I'd rather embrace not knowing.
I'd
And
rather live in the mundane and not know.
The
Sure.
ignorance is
Right.
bliss.
Ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss,
Just like
right?
he says
Yeah.
it.
Uh-huh.
it does a good job of showing those different perspectives. I feel like where it
Mhm.
doesn't just make him like seem like an unreasonable, angry, bitter person, but he's just
Totally.
like, I want out.
He's
I
like,
want
no,
out of
dude,
reality.
the
Sucks.
real life sucks.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, it's tasty wheat.
and
It's
who?
like at least in there, I didn't know I was being a human battery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
yep.
Right.
And like I
Yeah.
feel like people, there's mundane moments in your life where you're just like, man, if there was something more interest, like that's the immersion of playing video games or reading books or watching movies. Is that
Hmm.
it feels like you're in that mundane. You're like, man, somewhere else that'd be pretty cool,
Yeah.
you know?
So funny story about the Matrix. My parents saw it in the theater on like a date night,
Okay.
and they came home and they talked about how great it was. And then I was like, "Sweet, I'm gonna go see it," because I was like 15 at the time, and they were
Sure.
like, "No, you're not. You're not. You're not allowed to go see
Yeah.
it." And I
Sure.
was like, "Oh man." So like 2 weeks later, I said I was going to some other movie. I don't even remember what it was, and I biked 3 miles
To the
to
theater.
go to the theater to go see it by myself. I told them I went and saw a different movie at the theater, but yeah, it was pretty great. That's like the closest to like I was at that show that I can get. Like I saw them before they were big. Like not many people saw The Matrix in the theater.
Sure.
So it didn't have a very good cinematic run. It gained a cult following and then got big enough to where they wrote the other 3 movies, soon to be third movies.
So my dad actually was on a plane in, you know, 1999 or 2000 when this came out. And
Yeah.
like they showed it on the plane wherever he was
Nice.
flying across country. And so he told us like, oh yeah, I watched The Matrix, and at the time I was like a scarred 10-year-old, like, what? That's rated R. Like, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing? He's like, oh no, it's fine. There's nothing in it. And there's not. Like honestly,
Yeah,
there's not. And it's just
That's
like,
the R-rated movie I saw as well, and I watched that with my dad. who
yeah. So
didn't-
I watched it when I was young, and it was great. But I
It's funny because like my family had weird rules with rated R movies, and the first rated R movie I saw was a Keanu Reeves joint, but it wasn't The Matrix. It was Speed,
okay,
which is definitely rated R.
Not a
Definitely
bad
a rated R movie. Well,
Well,
the funny thing was,
I've heard a rumor that the only reason The Matrix got rated R was because of
it was
the
like sci-fi
jackets.
violence.
No,
right?
It's because of the jackets they wore were
Columbine
the
jacket.
same as the
Oh
Columbine
man,
jacket.
it sounds like a rumor to me.
oh, it 100% is. That's why he was saying it sarcastically.
Yeah.
I
So-
could see something silly like that happening though.
So we've all
Yeah.
kicked our top 3, right? Well, not top 3, but our just like high ranking that we're gonna throw
Can you
out here.
Can you put them all up on the stream?
I-
Like all
I
3 of ours?
Can
four of
I
ours,
can go
top 3
through them, but before we do that, well, no, I'll do it real fast. So I threw up Matrix, Back to the Future, and Galaxy Quest. Jared here threw up Children of Men, Blade Runner 2049, and 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Correct.
And then Todd had Arrival, Her, and Abyss.
The Abyss. But yes,
Oh, sorry. It looked like
That's
just
fine.
Abyss on IMDb. So
James Cameron will Take it out of
I'm
your
sure
eye.
he will. And Devin, Dadman as it were, had Alien Ex Machina and Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, because we got some chatters. I just want to kick through some of their suggestions real fast. Big Haas, Dr. Dunk and Big Haas have loved Tremors.
Yeah.
I can give a nod to Tremors for sure.
Yeah. I think my favorite one that came up in the chat, or my 2 favorites actually, are probably Minority Report, which
It's good.
it's a spectacular movie. Yeah, and Edge of Tomorrow.
So,
Both
okay.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Both amazing.
Edge of Tomorrow, Live,
of
Die,
Tomorrow.
Repeat, whatever. That was in my time travel kind of. I had a group of time travel movies, and it's hard to call it time travel, but it is time travel because he's repeating a day, but it's not in the same sense as like Interstellar time travel or Back to the Future time travel, right?
Probably.
Because he's not going back 30 years to change a timeline or anything. But nonetheless, I would say that Edge of Tomorrow is super well executed for a movie. I almost put it in my top. It is right there. So was Interstellar. And I know Interstellar might be controversial.
I love Interstellar. It falls apart in the last act, but I think the first 3 acts are
I
great.
think you want to say that it falls apart in like a 4-minute scene.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Some of the stuff with Matt Damon's a little silly.
most people with that just their gripe with Interstellar. What was that?
I want to
Hot-
hear what Jared's take on Interstellar is.
Oh, Interstellar is pretty. I think it's good.
I
The
really
ending is bullshit, but the whole thing is good.
okay, but on Interstellar, the thing is that I think a lot of people have a gripe with is how do you represent the fourth dimension or the when he's when he's the fabric of time and all that shiz. How do you represent that? How do you film that? And so
Can
You don't do it. because you do that in a
you just
two-dimensional.
you make it implied is what you're saying.
Correct. You also don't have somebody who can survive entering a black hole. That's also something that you don't do.
Well, you're also
Look.
saying that on a sci-fi podcast where it's
get-
not
I get
reality, right?
But the problem was is that movie was supposed to be touting that it was going to be like scientifically accurate, and they had NASA scientists consult on it. And I
Well, hey,
can't.
they were pretty close on what the black hole actually looks like.
That's true.
Yeah,
I'll
there were
give it to
some of those things that you could tell they did use the influence, and then others where they're just like, "But we need to make a cool movie, so we're moving on."
you. Yeah.
I really
I
did
wanna-
love how they went to planets, like how the planets and time function worked.
Yeah.
It just
That-
it worked really well. So that's my nod to Interstellar. But anyway, Hot Zoomy, welcome to chat. He said Titan AE is an animated flick but underrated. It doesn't matter that it's animated.
I'm so glad he brought that up.
It still counts as a science fiction, nod. So I haven't seen it personally.
That
Zoomy,
movie,
you're spot on. That movie is so good.
that movie has been on my watch list since I was like 14. Saw it at an Albertsons for sale.
You know, Disney had that like weird phase, like right before it was kind of as they were shifting over to the like Pixar CGI phase.
Treasure
So like
Planet.
Treasure Planet,
Um,
Titan AE,
Is
Iron Giant.
Is
thought
this
it was
the correct Titan AE?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
The premise is like it's Titan after Earth is what the AE stands for.
Okay.
And it's about how like humanity has created a spaceship that has the resources to create another Earth. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. I haven't seen it in years. I bet it might even be on Disney Plus right now. If it is, that's my weekend right there.
Just
yeah.
watching some Disney sci-fi flicks.
Yeah. What was there's like a third one that I want to say was in there because Iron Giant, now that I think about it, wasn't a Disney joint. It was Atlantis. That's exactly what it was. It's the Atlantis movie.
I've seen that one way too many times, but it's really brilliant.
We've got some Resident Evil, Shrieker Island,
Pitch Black. Anything with I actually really like Pitch Black.
Pitch
I like
Black. A lot of Predator nods, it seems like.
Predator.
Yeah.
The Predator is the one with Adrian Brody. Is I really enjoy it. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's fun.
Yeah. I liked the Adrian Brody one. I also like the original. It's good.
Riddick. Big House mentions Riddick and
Which Pitch Black is the first Riddick.
Yeah, I just watched Pitch Black for the first time in my life just
Really?
about a month ago. And it was
Did
pretty
you?
good.
I can't say
Yeah,
that
it's
I've
pretty
actually
good.
seen it.
You haven't seen it at all?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure we've watched it in my house, or I've tried to force you to watch it.
You know,
at
I've
least.
fallen asleep to about every movie we've ever turned on, right?
Every time I'm like, has anyone seen Pitch Black? Nope, no one. And I'll just like play it, and then like most of the time, people are like, "Time to eat or leave."
I never
Same-
leave. I just fall asleep. I mean,
Fall.
as a clarifier there, I fall asleep in the
That's
theater
That's
seat.
fact.
Just saying.
The other one that I try to force people to watch is Sunshine. It's not that they're like the best science fiction, it's just that they're not as widely viewed. So
You're
I'm
not a
like,
fan, Todd?
people see
I
it.
know. I love Sunshine.
I think
That's-
Sunshine. I put it in my list. I didn't put it in the
Like it.
top, but
I actually almost used that for my third in case somebody was going to mention Arrival. That's the one I was actually going to pick if Arrival got picked.
Nice.
I also wanted to say Tenet, but I also know not everybody's seen it.
I
and
haven't
it
seen
also
that
got
yet.
dumped on by a lot of people.
I haven't seen it either. Or I have a question: has anyone seen Ad Astra?
Nope.
Dad Astra? Yes.
I have not watched it. Is it good? No.
I didn't like it. I really didn't like it.
Everyone has said it's bad, Astra.
Mhm.
Just kidding. That's terrible.
I actually in my own list I threw in Martian, Snowpiercer, Total Recall.
That
Snowpiercer's great.
movie.
My alternate was
The Martian.
my alternate was Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
I haven't seen that.
If someone took one of mine.
Ooh.
How not
Whoa.
seen Eternal
I have
Sunshine
not
of
seen a lot of
Spotless
movies
Mind?
actually.
Yeah.
That saddens me, my dude.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Not
Yeah,
only
it-
a good movie, it's like Jim Carrey showing the world that he's like, I'm a great actor. You're just only seeing me in comedies most of the time.
Yep.
Sure. No, I actually like Jim Carrey in what was that? 23? Is that the movie he's in?
Number 23.
Number
Mhm.
23. That was a
Yeah.
very serious role, and I liked it.
One other movie I wanted to mention, Independence Day.
Yes,
It's-
that was in my
it is
list.
great action sci-fi. It's great. It's fun.
And on the
It's,
Independence Day track, I also put Men in Black is in my
Will
list.
Will
Here
Smith.
come the men in black.
I think that Men in Black. What, Todd? What are you gonna say?
No, I'm right there with you, man. Men in Black is great. Men in Black is so good.
I think Men in
So
Black plays on the same, um, almost the same track as the Matrix of like alternate reality, but and the reason why I say that is because all the aliens, like, you don't know they exist.
Mhm.
It's the same thought of like, is Devin in our podcast?
Oh
Is
my
this
gosh.
guy right here below me? Is he like an alien and we don't even know it? Is he gonna unzip his head?
Yeah. I really like I think
you want me to put my hands behind my heart
like this?
right there?
Sugar.
sugar water.
Hurt my
Sugar
throat.
water.
So
I seriously love Men in Black because it's also in that like subcategory of there's a world that you know nothing about that is there. Like
Mhm.
Harry Potter ripped that from Men in Black
no doubt
of just this like world that exists
that you know
It's-
nothing
just-
about.
you
It's
know
like
nothing about
the
and
dark
you don't
web.
see if you're not paying
But
attention.
you totally are oblivious to it. Almost
It's like,
intentionally.
yeah, have you ever heard of the dark web?
Yeah.
It's the same exact idea. There's just something that totally exists that is totally utilized by hundreds of thousands of people. Well, maybe hundreds of thousands is a lot, but a ton of people, a large group of people, and the majority of the world doesn't know it exists or how it operates. So,
Yeah.
I have
ball chin guy cracked me up.
mentions,
Okay.
and this is one I feel like is so overlooked in sci-fi, but is universally considered a great movie, and it is Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's overlooked. You're saying
No,
people
no.
don't think of it as sci-fi.
It's sci-fi.
Okay.
Everybody loves Jurassic Park. People don't think of it as sci-fi always, but it is totally sci-fi. A man rambles about chaos theory half the movie,
True.
That's not normal
Mhm.
conversation.
Plus, dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. It's man uses technology in a way that we don't understand and causes problems.
Mhm.
It's God creates man. Man creates dinosaurs. No,
Yeah.
God creates dinosaurs. God kills the dinosaurs. God creates man. Man creates dinosaurs.
No,
Dinosaurs.
man destroys
Man kills.
God.
Man
Man
destroys God.
destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. Yeah.
And the moral of the story, life
Finds a way.
Yeah.
My other one was Looper. Looper just for a good time
Looper's
travel.
great. Looper's
Yep.
great.
Also weirdest use of makeup to make somebody look like someone else, but not quite like someone else. Just enough that you're like, I can kind of see it, but also you don't really look like Bruce Willis.
I mean, he's also doing a spot on Bruce Willis impression though.
Yes.
Like
So
spot.
there's good stuff to it.
Yeah.
Chat in the chat mentioned District 9.
Yeah. Oh.
I remember watching District 9, I believe. Were we in high school, Devin, when that came out? Right after?
Mhm.
And it just kind of was impressionable of like having machines and junk like cast off as like unwanted. It was so strange.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually saw somewhere that Neil Blomkamp, the dude that directed District 9, he's currently scripting the sequel.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah. He had always said it was going to be a while until he got to it, if ever. And I think after Chappie, he was like, okay, maybe I need to make something cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Sure.
yeah.
Well, we should probably cut it.
Probably.
I've honestly loved the discussion. I think
Totally.
It's hard to shut up about is my problem.
Let's Start a Podcast is born, and I'm excited about it.
I think if there's one takeaway, one moral of the story tonight is life finds a way.
life finds a way, and then life will come back in time and create its own divergent timeline.
Yes.
Guys, I'm so excited to rewatch Children of Men. And sadly, Titan AE is not currently available on Disney Plus. It breaks my heart.
Well,
take it up with management.
yeah.
Well, like we say at the end of every episode, AJ,
Go yourself. Let's
apparently that's what we say.
did it. We say, well, yeah, say la vie.
Yeah.
La vie.
Lovey. Yeah.
Peace.
Well, this was fun, guys. Let's
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
again sometime.
It was good.
All right,
Do
guys.
it again.
Have a
Hasta
good
luego.
night, chat.
Hasta los
Bye.
luego.
Bye, Felicia.